Hi again, this is kayDbait. I have a few things to say that are very simple, but I'm going to elaborate on a few of them, so it'll be still a long video. I got a haircut, and I wanted to talk about, gave me the idea. Practicality, functionality, aesthetics, desires, wants, and needs. I had long hair because I liked long hair, but because I didn't take care of it, it kind of made me look not as good as it should have. For people to take care of their hair and it's all nice and fluffy and whatever. I didn't do that. I didn't buy the expensive shampoos or at least the nice shampoos. I always went to the cheap ones, and I didn't wash my hair every day. And I always get really bad dandruff anyway. I have a scalp problem, and that just made it much worse. So I got a haircut. It's actually a military cut, as you can see, military. Anyway, this is practicality over aesthetics. Long hair does have its advantages in cold weather, but that's about it. It doesn't really make it better in any other way besides warmth. And since we have beanies and hats and hoodies and scarves and things like that, you don't really need long hair. I mean, it's still pretty and nice, but that's it. So, I wanted to make a video on practicality. Okay, I don't know what the definition is of practicality, because I grew up kind of knowing, because it's kind of common sense. If it's useful, if it's intuitive, if it's not overly complicated, then it's practical. Straps for your shoes, practical. A microwave is not necessarily practical, but it is functional, especially if you don't have a lot of time to cook your meals, or if you don't have gas hooked up to your house or something like that. So let's give a good example of practicality versus something that is what you want. Now, I'm going to stop using the word practical and start using the word functional, because they're not exactly the same, and I wanted to go more into the functional and aesthetic with desire, need, and want. Okay. If you are underweight, it is good to, did I say underweight or over? If you're overweight, it would be much better to exercise and diet and manage your nutrients. That is practical. Now, functional is more of things you have or things you do that are more, I want to say mechanical, but that's not the right word. Okay, this water bottle is practical. Instead of going out and buying water whenever I'm thirsty, I just take this with me. But it leaks, so it's not as functional as it should be. So I guess that's the best way I can define it. Things like this. Hot Shot. It's cheaper than Raid. It doesn't work as well as Raid. But it still is functional in what I use it for. I use it for when I can't catch a fly, and for some reason it's just too fast, it never lands anywhere, and I just can't hit it with the fly swatter. The fly swatter is very practical, very functional, but a lot of people don't like them because they get gross. I don't honestly care, because I keep them right there, and they're not touched by anybody, so it's really and it's right there. That's functionality. It's right there where you can grab it when you need it. If you keep it in something in a drawer, but you use it all the time, why don't you hang it up? Right there next to where you always use it. That's why people have spoons and wood, the wooden spoons and the wooden things and all of their spatulas and stuff in a little container that's sticking them all out like this next to your stove. So when you need it, you just go ding, done. And you don't have to go rummaging around in drawers, especially if you don't know if it's clean or not, because that way you know it's clean, because all of them are right there. And functionality is the things you need, the things you use, the things that are practically accessible, and you use them all the time. I keep using the word practical and functional. I apologize. I'm not actually meaning to do that because it's confusing, but it's like saying your junk drawer. It's not functional. It's not practical. It's you don't want to throw it away, so you chuck it in the drawer. It makes you kind of not have to worry about it anymore. You don't have to make a decision. And that's not exactly good because then you're just postponing it, because then you have this big drawer full of junk that you never use, and it just builds up and builds up and builds up, and there's no point. Now, obviously, if you have a functional junk drawer, it's the things that you know you'll use later, and you keep the things that you know what's in there. And it's very different than what most people use. So if you do it the other way, you're fine. But if you do it the first way, then you're using a drawer as a trash can, just long-term storage trash can. You'll never actually use most of it. Okay. I had this idea when I was eating lunch, so I have food over here and drink over here. Let's see. Aesthetics. Aesthetics are things that look nice. Aesthetics are things that you normally have to sacrifice functionality for. Not always, or not in a way that's considered, unreasonable, such as having pink curtains or curtains that match your carpet. It looks nice. It has no functional purpose, but it looks and maybe it makes you feel better, so it does have a function. But it's not as light dampening, if that's what you're using your curtains for, as a dark colored or thicker material. So if you're looking for functionality, you would get, depending on what you want, do you want something that lets in light, or do you want something that, darkens the room? You'd want either a dark one, a thick one, or a light, thin one. And I've seen people use blankets as curtains, and it's usually much cheaper, so that you have the practical side, but it's a little harder to set up, so you have to work at it. Okay, what are some of the other words? Desires, wants, and needs. All three of these are different. Well, desire and want, okay, they're the same, but a want and a need are different. You have such things that you actually functionally need to survive, and then you have the things that you want that make you happy, usually, or at least they should. Some people have their priorities screwed up, so they want things that they don't actually make them happy. It's just something that will make them unhappy if they don't have. That side note aside, okay, your basic needs are actually very, very, very low. Food, water, air, and somewhere where you won't freeze or burn to death. That's it. That's it. You don't need anything else. Now, some people try to add things to it, but those are just wants. Human interaction. That is a major, major, there's an argument about that. Do you actually need it to survive? If you're depressed, probably, yes. But you don't actually physically need it. It's just an emotional thing. Obviously, somebody that needs it usually is because of the social kind of mental issues that they might be having, crushing loneliness or depression, or they don't understand something and they actually need to talk to somebody to figure something out. Those aren't needs. Those are they're situational, and they're more mentally development kinds of things. You don't actually you won't die if you don't have it. You'll just be extremely unhappy without it. Electricity. You don't need electricity to survive, unless your heart just stopped and you need to get the paddles. Then you might. But again, situational. You don't actually need electricity, as in running current in your house, to survive. It's just a major convenience. Just like running water. You can go down to a stream somewhere. You'll need access to water. You need water to survive, but you don't need running water. You just need a clean source of water that you can drink. You don't. Stoves or microwaves, things like that. You don't need them. They're just very convenient. There's a lot of people that live without them. Third world countries. In America, I read this in an article. I read a lot of articles. It was poverty in America is different than poverty in a lot of other countries because even the most poor, in the Bronx, um, you know, most decrepit areas of American cities and American, rural areas, the smallest, littlest, most compact, rat hole apartment areas, they still have TVs. And while that's not something major, it's still something that a lot of people in other countries, even that aren't really poor, don't have. So, while that can be considered the American standard of living is higher, it's also confused because people that have TVs are considered above people that don't have TVs. And that's not always right because people don't always value TV. So, again, let's go back to functionality and practicality. Owning a TV is practical because then you get to watch the news, you get to watch these things, you get to learn things, you have access to things besides what is in your home or in your generalized area. But people lose sight of that and they want a bigger TV. And that's when you start losing the practicality. It takes up more space, usually uses more electricity, and you spend much more money on it. And it's more of a, I want to say, what's the word for that? It's just the staple of the American home. And if you don't have one, people think you're weird. Now, I've been trying to figure out what this word is for a couple days now, and I keep remembering it and then forgetting it. It's a thing that everyone in America should have because society says you should have it. A car, a house, a big TV, and a wife and 2.3 kids or whatever. It's the things if you don't have, people will say you're missing something. Or if they have it and you don't, they have bragging rights over you. And that's not fair. That's not realistic. Because people are valuing things that actually don't have the value they're putting in it. Advertisement has done this to us. American society has done this to us. And other societies, incorporating things into our society. But it's still our society as of now. So if you have a desire to have a big TV, and then you get your big TV, is that making you happy? Or are you using it as a bragging right? Celebrities do this all the time. They have these things that are completely ridiculous, 40 cars, a mansion, 5,900, I don't know, a 78-inch plasma screen TV, I don't know, some huge numbered plasma screen TV that cost them $20,000. Things that normal people can't buy, so then they could brag about it. I mean, not all celebrities do that. I wouldn't even say that most celebrities do that. But on these TV shows that show the glamorous lifestyle of a celebrity, and they go to all of these places, and all they're doing is showing off these lavish things that they don't even use. And it completely misses the functionality aspect, the practicality. Obviously, they can afford it, but if they put all that money into donations or into a trust fund for their kids or whatever, they would be better off later. And a lot of things they buy so lavishly, so extravagantly that they're just losing stuff, and they're missing the point of what they were getting it in the first place for. I mean, if you buy a $100,000 car to look at it, that's fine. That's fine. If you buy it to show it off to other people, that's kind of okay too. But if you want it simply to bring up in conversation sometimes to people that also have things like this, that just seems kind of ridiculous. And I'm not making fun of celebrities. They give us something that we all want. But again, it's not something that they actually need, And it's kind of strange to me. If I ever had that much money, I really don't think I would do that. I don't see myself spending large amounts of money on, conversation topics. So what were some of the other notes? Wants, needs, aesthetics, functionality, practicality. Those were my only notes for this video. I really should have made more. Oh, well, it's almost 16 minutes anyway. I've been rambling, I guess. Well, I guess I'll end it right here. It's not a very good video. I apologize. But if you have any comments, please send me a little thing. I liked our conversations last time. So have a nice day, and I hope everything goes well for you. Take care. Bye.